Zimbabwean teachers threaten strike action, citing incapacitation as the schools open. This is really a very sad development, especially considering that we are entering into the very, very important term, a term that most of those that are writing their final exams are supposed to be writing exams. And for teachers not to be going back to work, citing issues like incapacitation is really very, very sad, because we have seen a government and a leadership that does not respect at all the wishes and the welfare of the teachers and the students. Newsday Zimbabwe reports that teachers yesterday said they are not in a position to report for duty next week when schools officially open for the third term, citing incapacitation. And this is really a very sad development. Schools are set to open next week on Tuesday, and this is the final term, which will be characterized by preparation for final examinations. The government of Mnangagwa in March increased teachers' salaries from $300 by $20 to $320, a figure which was deemed insignificant and out of touch with economic realities faced by the educators. Teachers are demanding US 540 as the lowest salary. This is the salary that Robert Mugabe used to pay the teachers before people started to talk about him being the worst leader. Now, Zimbabweans are realizing that it was even better during the time of Mugabe than what it is now, because quite a lot of teachers, and not only teachers, but many who are also in the government sector, they are really struggling to survive. The declaration of incapacitation by teachers comes as a survey by the ATUs showed that parents, guardians, learners, and teachers are not fully prepared for the reopening of schools. The survey focused on the preparedness of learners and teachers in the schools. It is showing that 98.7% of parents and guardians in rural areas that were interviewed confessed that they do not have money either to pay fees or to secure learning material. The majority of these parents and guardians are those that are affected by this El Nino-induced drought. And we have seen that this drought has caused quite a lot of problems and a lot of poverty all over the nation of Zimbabwe. Learners from child-headed families also indicate that they will not be able to go back to school because of the lack of basic food, including basics, including basic food. So what we are looking at is a situation where did we have a government in Zimbabwe that cared about the people of Zimbabwe, we were going to be seeing things happening in a different manner. In high density suburbs, 82% of students and parents indicate that they struggle to pay school fees. Some they've raised joblessness as one of the drivers of poverty. And this is an economy that is not working. And in an economy where over 90% of people are not employed, it is really very, very difficult for parents or guardians to be able to raise the school fees and the basics needed. The ATU's study also revealed that 70% of teachers that were interviewed indicate that they were severely incapacitated because of underpayment. The union noted that grain deliveries are being made across the country. Unfortunately, the majority of schools still to receive something coming from government, but a lot of these provisions are being affected also by the corruption that is happening in the government of Emmerson Mnangagwa. Whatever that is availed for the teachers or for schools, these things are usually taken by those that are in ZANU-PF offices and in power. And this has been a problem that has continued to bedevil the country. So looking at the education sector, we continue to see that this is one of the sectors that have really been affected so massively by the mismanagement of ZANU-PF, and it has affected the education system in Zimbabwe. The education system has had many dropouts. Just last year, close to 2 million young children dropped from schools, and they are not able to pay for fees, while parents or their guardians are also wailing in poverty. And this is the situation that is a very, very pathetic situation for a country. And for a country like Zimbabwe, with a government that is overspending and taking money and squandering money that is to the tune of billions over a summit of one day without even caring about the hospitals, how the health sector is suffering, and how the education sector is suffering, they don't care about that. They will never want to put money into those sectors to improve those sectors even a little bit. One wonders what kind of a man Emerson Mnangagwa is, who has no regard and who does not even care for young children. Youth and the young people that are going to school are the future of Zimbabwe. But there is a leadership today that does not care about what happens with the youth that is supposed to be leading the nation tomorrow. These are the same people that forget that when we grow older, we will also need to be paid our pensions by the same people that we are educating today. And that is the reality of life. But unfortunately, ZANU PF is not the right leaders for Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe needs new leaders. We definitely need change. This is why we are fighting for change. This is why we are praying for change. This is why we continue to demand that ZANU PF and Emerson Mnangagwa must just vacate and let Zimbabwe be led by people that will allow Zimbabwe to become a nation. Zimbabwe right now is just a place where there is pain, there is hunger, there is starvation, there is lack, and it is just affecting almost everyone. It is only a few people that are connected to Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF who continue to enjoy. Otherwise, the rest of the people in Zimbabwe, they are wailing under serious poverty and serious lack. With unemployment shooting up over 90%, this really is a serious problem. And it's something really needs to happen in Zimbabwe. Somebody must help to save Zimbabwe. And that somebody is you and me, for us to continue to demand, to put pressure on ZANU-PF and to demand for our freedom. And freedom is definitely going to come as we continue to discuss these issues, planning and putting more pressure on ZANU-PF, as we pray also for the nation of Zimbabwe, for God's intervention in our country. The country needs intervention. The country needs to be saved. Otherwise, with this government, we are not going anywhere. The teachers themselves can't afford even just transport enough to just go to work and back for a full month. And yet, the government expects teachers to continue to find themselves in the workplace. And how will that happen? So if you don't pay, if you pay peanuts, you are going to employ monkeys. Nobody will be even interested in getting employed. This is why you find that there is a deficit in almost every sector of government, because people are not interested. People would rather do their own personal things, would rather start their own small markets, and they can make better money than somebody who is employed by government. And that's not a normal country and a normal economy. This is why our economy will never rise. So this is the situation that we have. And we are just hoping and praying that the teachers will definitely get to have their issues heard and something done. But of course, with these leaders that we see today, the hope is next to nothing. So this is what it is, family. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. We will continue to be giving you updates about what is happening in the nation. Thank you so much for subscribing, for liking and sharing. We'll meet again in the upcoming shows, and remain blessed.